Terrible Love asks an uncomfortable question. What happens when attraction stops being a feeling and becomes a weapon? Maggie's crush on the unattainable Brendan curdles into something far more dangerous once Cupid intervenes, transforming love into a compulsion no one can escape. Greetings, schools, and welcome to a dive into horror television. Tonight we explore Terrible Love from The Haunting Hour, the perfect episode for an upcoming Valentine's Day. We open to Maggie in science class. She has an intense crush on one of her classmates, Brendan. Maggie has a pen in her mouth which explodes in the corner of her mouth. She can't help but stare at Brendan. She's so into him that she messes up the chemistry lab and causes an explosion. When she comes to, she's met by Cupid. The explosion must have given her a concussion. Cupid can help her get Brendan's attention. She turns down the offer and wakes up back in class. She's got to stay after class and help the teacher clean up. A boy named Stuart asks her if she wants any help, but she turns him down. At her locker, she notices Brendan talking to a group of girls. Maggie has a great big pimple on her face, which makes matters worse. Cupid appears and he's ready to make magic happen. Will Maggie accept Cupid's help? Yes, she will. He darts Brendan and Maggie makes sure she's the first person he sees after he's darted. Brendan falls to the ground and Maggie is there to make sure he's okay. He looks lovingly into her eyes and hugs her. He asks her to get waffles with him, and she agrees. Then he gives her a bouquet. He thinks she's so beautiful. He has a rehearsal for a play he's acting in, and this snotty popular girl walks him. Maggie is not pleased when she sees them rehearsing a romantic scene, so she goes and summons Cupid. She thinks the potion is wearing off. Cupid tells her no, it's not. The potion is working perfectly. Being scene partners with another girl should not feel threatening. She begs him to shoot him again, so he loves her even more. Cupid warns her that jealousy and greed have caused more destruction than she could imagine. He's bound by ancient law to listen to her demands though, so he shoots Brendan with another dart. He squeezes her tight to the point of hurting her. What has she done? The next day is Valentine's Day, and he brought her a beautiful rose bouquet. She pricks her finger on a thorn and he goes and kisses it. Then he gives her a box of chocolates, but inside there's a tarantula. A love bug for his love bug. Nice. He gets sent to the principal's office, but before he goes, he screams about how much he loves her. The tarantula is on her shoulder now and she lets out a big scream. In the next scene, Maggie is waiting outside the principal's office for Brendan. She was bitten by a big spider. She's already sick of her man. Maggie tells Brendan that he was dosed with chemicals to make him fall in love with her. She shows him the long dart that he was shot with. He doesn't care, he still loves her. She wants to end their relationship. They literally lasted 2 days before this realization, which is crazy. He starts chasing her down the hallways. He loves her so much that he can't go on without her. She summons Cupid and begs him to make all of this stop. Brendan finds her, so she runs off. Cupid pushes Brendan down a flight of stairs. She wanted to be alone. There you go. That's a dark twist. Later in class, Maggie sees Cupid walking down the hall, so she goes to search for him. Stuart comes up to Maggie and he thinks she'll find love again, real soon. Cupid is there and he darts her. Now it's Stuart's turn to have his crush love him. Terrible Love is about what happens when desire is severed from consent. Maggie's crush on Brendan begins as a familiar teenage longing. Awkward, obsessive, and unreciprocated. But the episode quickly reframes this desire as something dangerous once it becomes enforced rather than mutual. Love cannot exist where choice has been removed. The moment Maggie accepts Cupid's help, affection stops being a relationship and becomes a mechanism. Brendan's feelings are no longer his own, and what initially feels like wish fulfillment immediately curdles into horror. The episode is explicit in showing how easily love turns into possession. Each additional dart intensifies Brendan's attachment, but instead of deepening intimacy, it escalates his neediness, jealousy, and aggression. His affection becomes claustrophobic and violent, revealing a central thesis. Obsessive love is not heightened romance, it is domination. Maggie wants to be wanted, but not consumed. The episode exposes how romantic fantasies often ignore the difference between being chosen and being trapped. The episode treats artificial emotion as terrifying not because it is exaggerated, but because it is empty. Brendan's love becomes frightening the moment it stops being chosen. His words and gestures still resemble romance, with flowers, praise, devotion, but they are no longer anchored to thought, judgment, or restraint. What should signal care instead signals malfunction. The episode makes clear that emotion without agency is not passion, it is compulsion. This is when Brendan's affection escalates so quickly into discomfort and fear. Artificial emotion has no internal limits. It doesn't adjust to context, respect boundaries, or respond to rejection. Each dart strips away another layer of self-regulation, turning love into a single overwhelming drive. The problem isn't that Brendan loves Maggie too much, it's that his emotion has been disconnected from his capacity to decide when, how, or whether to love at all. The horror is amplified by how familiar the behaviors are. Excessive gifts, public declarations, jealousy framed as devotion, these are all culturally recognizable as romantic, which is precisely why they become unsettling. The episode exposes how thin the line is between socially celebrated romance and coercive fixation. By removing consent, it reveals how many romantic gestures rely on the assumption of mutual desire to remain harmless. The tarantula hidden in the chocolate box crystallizes this theme. It is not an interruption of romance, but its logical endpoint under artificial conditions. A ritual meant to communicate affection becomes a delivery system for fear. The gesture is technically correct. It's still a gift, still symbolic, but emotionally it's inverted. The episode suggests that when emotion is manufactured, symbols of love become unstable, capable of carrying harm instead of care. Artificial emotion also collapses time. Brendan's feelings skip the slow process of getting to know someone and move straight to total attachment. This compression is crucial to the horror. Without uncertainty, distance, or gradual trust, intimacy becomes invasive. The episode implies that real emotion needs friction, doubt, hesitation, and the possibility of refusal to remain human. Maggie is not framed as evil, but she is held accountable. Her desire to be loved overrides her concern for Brendan's autonomy, and the episode refuses to excuse this simply because she is lonely or insecure. Cupid's role reinforces this moral structure. He doesn't create chaos on his own, he enforces human wishes to their logical extreme. The horror comes not from magic, but from Maggie's unwillingness to accept rejection as part of human relationships. The episode ultimately argues that love without freedom is indistinguishable from harm. Attraction cannot be forced, intensified, or optimized without destroying the very thing it claims to pursue. The episode dismantles romantic myths about persistence, destiny, and wanting hard enough, replacing them with a darker truth. Real love depends on the ability to walk away. When that freedom disappears, what remains is not romance, but terror. Emma Grabinski played Maggie, and she was in 4 other episodes of The Haunting Hour, and also an episode of Supernatural. Brendan was played by Joel Samand, and he's known for his role in The Flash, 16 Wishes, Lucifer, and Supernatural. Nick Percha played Stuart, who must have impressed the producer since he went on to work on another one of their productions, Spooksville. He was in 2 other episodes of The Haunting Hour, as well as a show called iZombie. The director of this episode was Ken Friss, who mostly worked on this show in the script and continuity department. He works as a script supervisor now. The writers were Natalie LaPointe and Greg Yolen. Natalie did 12 episodes as a post-production coordinator on this show, and she wrote 3 other episodes as her only writing credits. Greg also worked as a writer on 3 other episodes of The Haunting Hour, and went on to produce Beauty and the Beast from 2017. Overall, this episode was well done, and I'll rate it a 7.5 out of 10. This wasn't that scary, but it sends a helpful message to kids about consent. The story worked well, and the production brought the script to life as something memorable and fun. What did you think of this one? Let me know down below, and until next time, remember to be well and stay spooky.